solving linear inequalities. Now, these are equations, it's just like the linear equations. They have one variable, the exponent is 1, but they're going to contain inequality symbols. Let's see. Inequality symbols. And we need to remember, if it's pointing to the left, it's a less than or equal to. If it's pointing to the right, it's a greater than or equal to. And of course, here's some examples of linear equations. Right. They can have parentheses, but they can have two distributed property, combine like terms, things like that. There are linear inequalities that contain fractions, which works just like the equations where you have to find the common denominator. I'm not going to do any of those, but they can also be fractions. Now, as far as solving the linear inequalities, it's the exact same steps, y'all. The only difference is right here. When you're dividing by a negative, you flip the inequality symbol to the opposite direction. Now, the denominator, so the negative is in the denominator, not the numerator. So if you're dividing and you got a negative in your denominator, you have to flip the direction, and our answers are going to be written in interval notation. See the video on interval notation. But the steps are exactly the same for solving equations. Let's just do some. Alright, so this one, I'm going to move the 4 over first, just like I do with the equation. Subtract 4 from both sides. I get 2x plus 3. I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. So we'll get x is less than or equal to positive 3. Now, it's probably a good idea to go ahead and sketch the number line. That way we can write the proper interval notation. Okay, so this one is less than or equal, so it goes to the left, and because it's got the equal to part, it's going to have a bracket. So the interval notation is, remember that's a negative infinity symbol, negative infinity, parentheses, positive 3, bracket. The second one, not much to do on this one. We're going to add 3 to both sides. 2x is greater than 10. Then we divide by 2, and x will be greater than 5. And again, we can sketch it on the number line and then write the interval notation. I'll draw my infinity symbols here. Okay, now this is greater than, so it's going to go to the right. Now, this is just a greater than symbol. It doesn't have the equal to part, so this one will be a parentheses. So the interval notation, it starts at 5, stops at positive infinity, parentheses, parentheses. Number 3, I'm going to move the constant over first and then move the variable over. So we're going to add 5 to both sides. Get 5y minus 6 on this side. Now, we got to move the 5y over and subtract it. So we'll get negative 3y is less than negative 6. Now, here's what I was talking about earlier. We have to divide by a negative number. Since we're dividing by a negative, the inequality symbol changes to the opposite direction. It was less than or equal to, now it's greater than or equal to. Only because the denominator had the negative sign. Now, we can go ahead and sketch the graph and shade it. So it's a 2. It's greater than, so it shades to the right. And this one also has a parenthesis because it doesn't have the equal to part. So the interval notation will start at 2, stop at infinity, that's what infinity symbol is, parentheses, parentheses. Number 4 I am going to make that a equal to sign. Greater than or equal to 12, so we got to do the distributive property first. 3 times 2 is 6y minus 3, greater than or equal to 12. I'll add 3 to both sides. So we get 6y is greater than or equal to 17. Divide by 6, and yeah, it's ugly. So it's just y is greater than or equal to 17/6. So on a number line, we're just going to mark off 17/6. Of course, that's infinity, negative infinity. Okay, we're greater than or equal to, so we're going to shade to the right. Now this time, because it's got the equal to part, we're going to have a bracket. So the final notation will be bracket 17/6 positive infinity parentheses. Let's do 2 more. The one on the left, we have to do the distributive property first. So we're going to get 3x plus 3 minus 5 less than 2x plus 1. Now on the left side, notice I can combine those two numbers before we start solving anything. So we're going to get 3x plus 3 minus 5 is negative 2. Get this. Now there's nothing else I can combine anywhere, so we're just going to start solving it. Add 2 to both sides. So we're going to get 3x less than 2x plus 3. Subtract the 2x from both sides, and we're just left with x less than 3. So again, if we shade this on the number line, it's less than, which goes to the left, and it doesn't have the equal to part, so this will be a parentheses. And remember, negative infinity is on this side. So the interval notation will be negative infinity, positive 3, parentheses. Alright, number 6, we don't have to do anything on the left side, but on the right side we have to do the distributive property. 6x plus 3 minus x plus 5. On the right side, I have 2 terms with an x. So we're going to combine those 2 terms together on the right side to get 5x. And also notice I've got a positive 3 and a positive 5 I can combine together. So we're going to get positive 8. Now we can start solving it. So I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. We get 8x greater than 5x plus 5. Now subtract 5x from both sides. So we'll get 3x is greater than 5. Divide by 3. X is greater than 5/3. Now, sketching that on the number line, 5/3. It's going to go to the right, and it will have a parentheses. So the interval notation is parentheses, 5/3, positive infinity, parentheses.